Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. I want to talk with you a little bit about rescue knives and rescue tools, and specifically one tool that I highly recommend. Now, I've pulled up on Blade HQ just the rescue knife stuff, and there are tons of them, and you know they're okay. You know, I wouldn't just scrap every single one of these. I think some of them do have a useful purpose. However, I will say I think there's a better tool available, and that's really what I want to focus on. You know, most of these knives are going to have a few features in common, and so you know, you're going to have a serrated blade, a carbide glass breaker, a seatbelt cutter, and maybe a couple of other things. But honestly, I think there is a better option out there than really any of these, and there is something that I would recommend above them, and that is, let me move this out of the way. That is the Raptor. Okay, now I don't mean the Raptor from Jurassic Park. That Raptor, I'm sure, can do a lot of damage and create some emergency situations. However, there's something else that I have in mind, and that is this Raptor, the Leatherman Raptor. So let me get this out and give you guys a look at it. You can see, unlike all of the knives I just finished showing you, this is designed like a pair of medical shears, and then it has a couple of extra tools on it. A couple of things I really like about this, okay? The first one is the fact that the medical shears are extremely heavy duty. You can see how thick the steel is that they're made out of. And I've done a bunch of cutting, and I'll actually do a couple of quick demonstrations here for you in a minute. But these will cut stuff that a knife would struggle with very easily and in a very controlled way. The other day I had to cut, we had a church event here, and there were a bunch of decorations put up, and a bunch of stuff was held together with zip ties. And of course a knife will cut zip ties, no question about that. But this cuts zip ties so much more easily and so much faster that I went and grabbed this, because I probably had like 50 to cut. So I grabbed this and I was able to make really short work of that. So that just demonstrates. And I will pull in a couple of things here and cut them for you. While it's open, I'll also point out there is a ring cutter right down here. So this ring is a koala ring, but you would hook this in like that and then cut that. Obviously, I'm not going to do it because you know, my fingers aren't swelling and I have no desperate need to get a ring off. Okay, so that's the first thing that I wanted to show you. Now let me shut this, and there's a couple of other features that it also has, and then we'll move on to the sheath and then a couple of cutting demonstrations. So when the tool is closed, you still have access to a seatbelt cutter and an O2 wrench. Now the O2 wrench is obviously going to be mostly for first responders. And then down here we have the carbide glass breaker. Now let me give you one quick note. As someone who's broken a lot of windows, when I do that, I'm wearing, you know, my full bunker gear, and I'm wearing auto extrication gloves or firefighting gloves, so I don't have to worry too much about hurting myself. However, you probably do. So the two things you're going to want to worry about when you're going to break a window is, first, the patient inside the car. Are they covered up? Are they going to get, you know, are they now going to have, in addition to whatever might be wrong with them, glass in their eyes or face or something like that? So think about the patient inside the car, but also think about yourself. You're trying to help in this situation. What we don't need is an extra patient. So make sure that you're protecting your hands and arms in some way. And the other point is, make sure that you're hitting in the corner of the window. So, you know, if this is the car window, hold on, I'm trying to, so if this is a car window, you know, this is your B post, then you're going to want to hit like here or here, somewhere in the corner where it's kind of solid. Otherwise, you may not break the window. You may look like that guy in the funny YouTube video where he hits the window with a hammer more than over and over again and it won't break. So if you don't want to end up as a funny video on YouTube, I don't know, maybe you do, but make sure that you hit the window in the corner. All right, let's move on though. The other thing I really like, so those are the tools this has, and they are useful tools. I'll open this back up and set it here. Let me just grab, I'm not gonna go over like a detailed discussion of specs, but I will just grab a ruler and throw it in here so you can at least have an idea. Okay, so this guy is about 8 inches open, and when I close it, I'll show you again. But I wanna talk about the sheath next, because this also is really good. First of all, the retention in here is excellent. Actually, I'm gonna move that. There we go. It's messing up the lighting on the camera. The retention on this is really good, not only of holding the tool in, but of staying in place. So you can see the way this works over a belt, it grabs onto a belt and it will not come off. And it fits a number of different sizes. And even if it doesn't fit, like let's say your belt was only 1 inch, so it was like right in here. Well, you can see that little hook, it's not coming off. And I can tell you, The one thing I will say that's maybe a drawback is if you clip this to like your waistband of your pants or something instead, uh, make sure that you've got a private moment to take it off. It is extremely difficult to get off your waistband or any other soft surface because you can see like these just dig in and you cannot get it off. So that's just a word to the wise. Normally, if it's hooked on a belt, it's not as bad. When I have this with my fire gear, I hook it on either my straps on my pants, or I'll hook it on the belt that goes around my waist. One or the other, I find both work really well. Let's come back to this guy now and do a couple of quick cut tests. So I've got a couple things here. I tried this with paracord, and paracord is so soft that it was like not making a difference. But here's some cheap, crappy nylon rope, and it cuts through that so nicely and so easily. And now I've got a mess to clean up, so I have to get the vacuum out after this. What else have I got? Oh yeah, I found this old Cat 6 cord, and again, it just pops through that like. So works really, really well as a cutting tool, much tougher. Like most of us would not want to cut this with our knives because of the metal inside, but it doesn't even slow this down. I do have one more thing. I guess this is probably 12-2 or 14-2 electrical wire, and you can even cut the wire. I'm gonna have to push pretty hard on this, but notice it just pops through stuff, guys. So the cutting power on these shears is excellent and certainly better than a knife in a lot of situations. One last thing I will show you. Here's just a piece of a hanger, and I'll demonstrate how the ring cutter works. So there's the ring cutter, and you can see it pops through that wire pretty easily. So in terms of cutting performance, I find this really, really good. Okay, so now moving on to who would benefit from this. Obviously, this is primarily designed as a first responder type of tool. By the way, I will put a link in the description box to Amazon.ca and Amazon.com for US and Canada so that you can pick one of these up. And if you use those links, it does help the channel. So please feel free to do that. I will also add this to my Amazon store so you can find it there. Now, having said all of that, let me go on and give you who might benefit from this, all right? Obviously, it's aimed at first responders, and for fire, ambulance, police, whatever. I think this is a great option, and it's something that after me playing with it a little bit, a lot of the guys on the fire department are like, "Yeah, that's awesome. I really need to get one." In addition, this has some extra uses because of how heavy duty it is. There are some EDC uses I can definitely see. As you can see, I cut a bunch of that hard junk and it worked really, really well. So those kinds of uses, I think this shines really good for even around the house. If you're a construction worker, throwing one of these guys in your tool belt, I think would be worthwhile. Having one in your junk drawer at home would be a worthwhile thing. In a first aid kit, yeah, I think it works well in a first aid kit. Now you have other options, and if you're trying to be really budget friendly, this is not budget friendly for your first aid kit. But as an EDC option, especially the way I use this is I don't usually carry it right on my person, okay? Normally I have it within arm's reach. So I carry it in my EDC bag, I carry it, or I'll have it in the car. I carry it nearby because one of the reasons I always keep it nearby is if I am going to a fire call, I'm a volunteer firefighter, right? So the pager goes off and I've got to go. Well, I keep this close enough to me that I can grab it, clip it on my waistband of whatever pants I'm wearing and run out the door. Okay, and I find it really useful for that role, of course. But any kind of first aid need, any kind of heavy duty cutting task, having one in your car to serve as a rescue tool. Now, a Rescue Me for breaking windows is better than this because the Rescue Me you're less likely to hurt yourself, much less likely to hurt yourself. And I'll put a link to that as well in the description box down below. I highly recommend everyone should have a Rescue Me on their keychain. So those are where I see this fitting in. I think this is a great, you could EDC this for sure and it'll work fine. I use an EDC bag rather than, I always have a knife in my pocket, so I don't really have room for this as well. I put it in an EDC bag. If you're a first responder, definitely put this in your kit. I see a lot of paramedics when I respond to, accidents and stuff. Or even just ambulance assists. I'll see paramedics wearing these. They really like them. And I think if you're a paramedic, it's a great option. Police officer, again, it's a great option. And finally, those other uses that I said around the house, on a construction site, anything where heavy duty cutting tasks could come up. This is a fantastic, fantastic little tool. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.